Welcome back to the Current Electric High School Basketball Boys State Championship Preview Show presented by Cannon and Dunphy. I'm Mike McGivern, alongside my co-host, Coach Paul Wallersheim from Greendale Martin Luther. Tip-off for the first state semifinal in Division 5 is right around the corner. Stay with us here all day on My 24 for great high school basketball boys action. Later this afternoon, the second game in Division 2 should be a real good one. The 22-6 Trojans from Tosa West will take on the 20-7 Lumberjacks from Wausau East. Paul, let's start with Wausau East. They took 5th in the Wisconsin Valley Conference, and they are coached by Dan Garrett, fifth-year head coach there. Coach Garrett talks about getting through the playoffs.
Our first playoff game, we played against a familiar opponent in Merrill, and it's always a battle when we play them, and we only won the game by 2 points, and I think it was kind of a relief after we played that game because it's just always tough playing a conference opponent, and you play them 3 times. You play them 3 times in one season. It's hard to beat someone 3 times. I think there's a lot of teams this year that in the playoffs that faced someone a third time and didn't win. So obviously that was in the back of our minds, in that game. And Merrill had a great game plan and took it down to the last shot. But I thought we refocused really well and regrouped really well the next day against Menominee and really took it to them. The New Richmond was a really good team. I thought that was going to be a battle. That ended up being the battle that I thought it was. And then yesterday, it just kind of, I'm not sure exactly what happened yesterday outside of us just playing really well.
Coach, part of that interview, too, his son, Jaden, plays on that team and is the point guard, averaging about a 14 a game, and talked a little bit about, what that's done for him and his son and how much fun it's been. This is a team, Coach, I don't know a whole lot about, but they've had some really good wins down the stretch.
The one in the sectional final that he touched on, he didn't name them. West Salem is one of the top programs in the state, and D2 and D3, they've been at state several times over the last decade. And so to beat them by almost 40 points in the sectional final is quite an accomplishment. And like he said, I'm not sure what happened there because that's unusual. So they're playing good basketball right now, and they're going to need to play really good basketball to play with Wauwatosa West.
You don't hear about running clocks in sectional semifinals very often. We had one. We had one back in the day that was kind of fun. In fact, I think we're up 18-0 when our fan bus showed up, and it was really pretty amazing. But for those guys, and he talked a little bit about it in that press conference, he said, look, it was one of those things that everything we shot went in. They turned the ball over. They couldn't hit a shot, and it just started to spiral, and we kept going. And you got to give them a lot of credit for getting through that, especially after the first game of the regional. You win by 1 on a buzzer beater, and you get through that and then start rolling. Wausau East will take on the number 2 ranked Wauwatosa West. Tosa West 22-6 overall and tied for first place to the Greater Metro Conference with a 12-4 record. They are coached by Chris Neubauer, fifth-year head coach at Tosa West. Coach Neubauer talked a little bit about offensively getting the ball down the floor in a hurry.
Our defense leads to easy baskets, depending on what scheme we're running, versus depending on what opponent it is and how we want to attack that. But all year, when we have defended well, that has led to a lot of easy baskets. And even when a team makes a basket, you're right, we try to get it out quick. I mean, we practice that a lot. Get the ball out of the net and let's go. Get up the floor and let's go. And then in the half court, we'll try to move that ball side, top side, create some double gap situations so we can attack and drive. And obviously, if the help defense comes over, we can kick it out to Jake Hansen, who can knock down threes with the best of them, or Max Gogan.
Coach, you've known Coach Neubauer for a long time and his family, and I've seen them play 3 times this year. The way they're playing now compared to where they were playing the first half of the year, they were outscoring people, and then they had a kind of a tough spin there where they lost 3 in a row. And talking to Coach Neubauer, he said, look, we kind of had a come to Jesus meeting where we said, look, what's going to happen? We're either going to continue on this path or we're going to figure it out. We have enough talent to get to state and possibly win a state. But the way we're playing right now as a team, not sharing the ball, not defending, and that meeting, he said, look, we came out of that meeting understanding what we had to do, and especially on the defensive end, he said that's where things have changed. Look, Jalen Brown offensively is really good. Jake Hansen's really good. They've got a number of players that can get after it offensively, but where they are right now defensively is much different than they were in the beginning of January. It says a lot about this coaching staff. Talk to me a little bit about your feeling on the Tosa West team.
So I saw them play at Christmas, and I thought the same thing. I watched DePere play, and I watched Wauwatosa West play, and I just said, DePere seems so connected. Wauwatosa West is super talented, but they're not as connected. And then they lost 3 out of 4 games in January, and then now they had that team meeting, 12 wins in a row. And my guess, I haven't seen them play down the stretch here, but I'm guessing it doesn't matter who scores now. They're sharing the ball. They're playing connected on defense. And those are the kind of things that you need, because it's no cakewalk to get to the state tournament in Division II, no matter what part of the state you're coming from. And for them to be there, and really in a lot of ways, they're as good as anybody. They can play with anybody in the state with that personnel they have.
Yeah, Jalen Brown is kind of their leader offensively. He's a sophomore. He's getting big-time looks at schools from around the colleges from around the country, and he can hit shots and he can get to the basket. And the last time I saw them play, they beat Brookfield Central in the sectional semifinals. And down the stretch, they were spreading the floor and letting Jalen get going with Hansen in the corner. And if anybody came to help, he would kick, and Hansen had hit 2 or 3 threes in a row. And had a really big game. In fact, he was our U.S. Marine Player of the Game, and he talked a little bit about how important it was for him to be ready to catch and shoot. But offensively, when teams get them in the half court, they have a better chance, because, boy, do they get the ball down the floor in a hurry, and they really try to get to the basket or get into the gap and kick. But I think defensively, they did a great job of shutting down Anthony Rise from Brookfield Central, who's an all-state player. And they did a really nice job. They would take some of their guards and switch off on him. And then down the last minute, they put Brown on him because he's 6'3", 6'4", and long. And so they made that change as well. Very interesting to see them kind of get through a good basketball conference with some good coaches, and tie for first in a conference with Brook Central and Menominee Falls, who played well this year, Germantown, Brookfield Central. It's a good basketball conference, and I'm going to be interested to see how they do in the state, especially on a floor that size. And I don't know if Wausau East has played the kind of team with athletes that Tosa West has.
Right. I mean, Chris has coached a long time. Coach Neubauer's coached a lot. It's only 5 years as head coach there, but he's been coaching in the area AAU. He's coached. He was an assistant coach at Dominican when I was there. He knows what he's doing, and he understands the process of a season long and having your team peak at the right time, and they're definitely doing that right now.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of the athletic director, Kadeem Batts, over at Tosa West, so I certainly say congratulations to him. We're going to get to a break. Other side of the break, we're going to break down Division I matchups coming up later tonight here on My 24. This is the Current Electric High School Basketball Boys State Championship Preview Show, presented by Cannon and Dunphy, only on My 24.